Joy News Prime.
In just 47 days, Ghanaians will be going to the polls to elect a president and members of parliament to serve a 4-year term. And here on your election headquarters, we promise you nothing but the most comprehensive coverage from now until the Electoral Commission makes a declaration. Tonight, Great Consolidated Popular Party secures top spot in balloting for places on the parliamentary ballot paper this December, with the governing NDC on number 3 and MPP number 5. Balloting for the presidential was put on hold because of cases filed in court by some disqualified aspirants. The Electoral Commission was in court to try and get the cases quickly dealt with. Meanwhile, on the campaign trail, analysts cite comments by the General Secretary of the NDC, Northern Voter, as suggestive of desperate times for the governing party. The flag bearer of the opposition MPP is also in the Ashanti region, and we'll be touching base with our correspondents there.
And coming up in business, cooperative credit unions in the country prepare to meet their new licensing guidelines by the Bank of Ghana, expected to regulate their establishment and operations as well as safeguarding funds of members. Also in the bulletin, Minority highlights the challenge of high interest payments likely to confront the next government as the finance minister requests 11 billion cedis to keep the next government running for the first 3 months of next year. My name is Israel Aya, and Joy News Prime is also available across Europe on ABN Television as well as on DSTV and GoTV. Stay tuned. Now, with about 7 weeks to the general elections, the Electoral Commission has cleared one major hurdle on its calendar: the placement of parliamentary candidates on the ballot paper. Although informed by the EC beforehand, only 7 of 14 invited parties were present to witness the exercise, which produced what could probably become one of the longest ballot sheets ever seen in Ghana's general elections. As it stands now, parliamentary candidates for the Great Consolidated Popular Party, GCPP, would take the top spot, with the governing NDC at the 3rd spot and the main opposition MPP at the 5th. Deputy Director of Communications at the EC, Yusuf Ayuba, explained to the press how the Commission ensured the process was fair to all parties involved.
When it also comes with printing of the statement of poll and declaration of results, it is based on the number of candidates who file and the way they appear on the ballot. So it's very critical for us to go ahead and do the printing for the parliamentary. Whilst we wait, to finish the case in court, then we can determine when we will do the balloting for the presidential elections or the candidates. We invited all the political parties who filed their nominations. We told them that we would start the balloting at exactly 8 a.m. this morning. As at the time we were ready for the balloting, we had 7 political parties present. So we started with the 7 political parties. So after that, we used the filing positions as their presidential candidates filed during the filing of nominations to continue on the ballot paper. We have 14, parliamentary or political parties, contesting for the parliamentary. But the dynamics would be a little bit different. In certain constituencies, it's possible we would have only 2 political parties, contesting. But because we want to be very sure that we don't want to be found wanting, because we need to do the balloting for all, so that in constituencies where we may have more than the 7, we have exactly the number of parties contesting in the parliamentary elections. It wouldn't be, then it means that the political parties must go to the people and educate them, tell them the positions they are on the ballot when it comes to presidential, and also tell them the positions they are on the ballot when it comes to parliamentary. So they have to do that, and that is why the commission would come up with the notice of pool, which is just a representation of the way they will appear on the ballot, so that the general public would know exactly where the parliamentary candidates will be, the position the parliamentary candidates will be on the ballot, and also the position the presidential candidates would also be on the ballot. We have the GCPP number 1 on the ballot. We have the PPP number 2 on the ballot. We have the NDC number 3 on the ballot. We have the UPP, who would be number 4 on the ballot, the NPP number 5 on the ballot, the NDP number 6 on the ballot, IPP number 7 on the ballot, UFP number 8 on the ballot, number 9 would be APC, number 10 would be RPD, number 11 would be UDSP, number 12 would be JFP, number 13 would be CPP, and number 14 would be PNC. So as and when we do the balloting for the independent parliamentary candidates, they will follow in that order.
An Accra High Court has set Tuesday, October 25, to hear the suit filed by Dr. Papakwesi Indum challenging his disqualification by the Electoral Commission. This follows a request by lawyers for the EC for the matter to be heard early to ensure that the Commission's calendar is not affected. The suit, together with others, is the reason why the EC did not ballot for placement on the presidential ballot paper for the December election. Joy News' Joseph Akable was in court and has filed the following report.
Proceedings started with EC lawyer Thaddeus Sori explaining why the commission wanted the matter to be heard early. He argued that a delay could affect the EC's calendar because electoral materials ought to be secured. This request was not opposed by lawyer Ayikwe Otu, who represents Dr. Papakwesi Indum. Lawyer Otu, however, pointed out that there were some issues the EC had in their response to their suit, which they would like to be given an opportunity to react to. Justice Eric Chebafo asked that lawyer Otu does that before the close of work on Thursday. Lawyer Otu pleaded for more time, and Dr. Indum was out of the country, difficult to comply with the directive. The court directed that he present those documents via email by the close of Friday. Justice Eric Chebafo then granted a request for the matter to be heard earlier, fixing Tuesday, October 25 for hearing. PPP policy advisor Kofi Asamoah said the directive by the judge will ensure a speedy hearing.
Well, I think everybody is looking for the case to be adjudged quickly so that there's no distraction in the election calendar. So Monday, come and file your statement of case. Tuesday, come and make oral argument. And the judge promised to give ruling in the course of the week. So clearly, everybody's desire that we should adjudicate these issues if like in a fast-track fashion has been determined by the court. So it's okay for us. Justice must be delivered. And at the end of the day, we are saying that there are some procedures that had to be followed. And in our view, it was not followed. Let the judges deal with it, and the courts and our lawyers are seized with the matter. That's where we are. Any other thing you see, but what is more worrying to us is that the ballot papers are going to be printed from outside Ghana. And why are we printing things from outside? The jobs that we are seeking to solve can be created in this country, or the joblessness that we want to solve by campaigning and being in this election. One of the solutions is when you give jobs an opportunity to local printing firms and, for that matter, local companies.
Supporters of the party who thronged the court premises registered their presence with singing and dancing.
Now, the All People's Congress has also sued the Electoral Commission, challenging the disqualification of its flag bearer, Hassan Ayariga, from participating in the upcoming presidential election. The suit, which was filed Thursday at the Accra High Court, is a third of such cases brought against the Commission following its rejection of the nominations of some 12 presidential candidates in the December polls. Speaking to Joy News after his lawyers filed the suit, Dr. Ayariga said he would challenge the disqualification, but would do so legitimately.
You are all aware that last Monday, the EC came and made some announcement about disqualified presidential candidates, 13 of us. The first political party and the leader mentioned was Dr. Hassan Ayariga of the EC, and that Dr. Hassan Ayariga was disqualified based on so many reasons, and I will take you through it for us to actually ascertain the truth of the matter and also to expose the lies of the commission so far so that we will know whether our commission is a credible commission to run the 2016 elections or not. First of all, when the government appointed the EC chair as a woman, we were all happy. At least it was a room for woman participation in our governance system, in our democracy, in the management of our country. Before she was appointed the EC chair, she was the national NCCE boss, and her duties, and part of her duties, was to make sure that she educate the voter on how to vote, how to conduct themselves, and many other things. I will not campaign for myself until the court decides so. But I will continue to campaign for my parliamentary candidates until justice is delivered. I will not sit home. I will not sit at home. I will also not sit in the office. I will go around the whole country, support all my parliamentary candidates to win their elections and their seats. Because I believe in the rule of law, I will wait until the law, because we have sent the matter to court. Today, as we speak with you, at the moment as I speak to you now, our lawyers is in court. They have filed a writ to the EC, and only justice is what we are looking for. We are looking for justice.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still to come in the bulletin, the minority has highlighted the challenge of high interest payment. That's they're likely to confront the next government as the finance minister requests 11 billion cedis to keep the next government running for the first 3 months of next year. Stay tuned. We'll be back with that and more. The government will need almost 11 billion cedis to finance its operations in the first 3 months of next year. A significant amount, almost 4 billion cedis, will be used to pay salaries and compensation of public sector workers. The projected expenditure is contained in the motion brought before Parliament by the Finance Minister ahead of the presentation of the transition budget, which would ensure that the incoming administration will have enough to keep government machinery running until it draws up a full budget for 2017. A breakdown of the expenditure also showed 1.25 billion cedis will be spent on capital expenditure, whilst interest payments will take up 1.9 billion cedis. Chairman of the Finance Committee, James Abeji, tabled the motion on the floor of Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. 2 minutes. Mr. Speaker, just want to thank honourable members for the debate, and also to let members be aware that the expenditure items that have been captured in the report and that component which talk about compensation of employees, if you look at the attachment, you see clearly that it consists of wages and salaries, pensions, gratuities,
Honorable
and the
Chairman
rest
of the committee. If you are winding up, you don't introduce new. You don't introduce.
All right, so let me just quickly take you through the various components that make up the 10.999 billion cedis. So for employee compensation, 3.88 billion cedis. Goods and services, 164.2 million cedis. Capital expenditure, 1.25 billion cedis. Interest payments or debt servicing, 1.9 billion cedis. Statutory funds, 2.4 billion cedis. Non-road arrears, 518 million cedis. Tax refunds, 151 million cedis, and amortization, 773.5 million Ghana cedis. Now, Dr. Marcus Yeboah, in seconding the motion for the minority, highlighted the issue of interest payment and the fact that it will present a challenge to the incoming administration.
Mr. Speaker, relate the interest payment of 1,889 million
Right, so we will bring you that soundbite a little later, but Elton John Brobe, our parliamentary correspondent, has joined me here in the studio. And first of all, Elton, I'd like to find out from you, we were expecting the finance minister to actually present the budget. So how come?
Well, we were told on Friday by the deputy majority leader, the finance minister was going to appear before the House to present estimates and revenue for 2017.
Which would then mean that probably like a typical budget, like we're used to.
Yes, but because we are going into an election, which outcome is uncertain as of now, the government of 2017 may have its own program of activities, so you cannot tie them down with a budget presentation. That may not work for them. So before Parliament would start business for today, he withdrew that particular aspect and laid before the House the expenditure and revenue covering the period January and March 2017. And because it was a paper that was to be given to Parliament, the procedure is that when that paper is laid, it is referred to the appropriate committee. In this case, it was referred to the Finance Committee. So the Finance Minister lost that opportunity to present his statement on the floor because he came with that paper to be laid. So the Finance Committee was given the opportunity to go and scrutinize the content of that document. So this is their report. They brought this report. And because it became the report of the Committee of the Speaker of Parliament, the Finance Committee Chairman was the one to move the report on the floor. Okay.
Now, looking at the breakdown, you realize that it's of significance that employee compensation, for instance, is 3.88 billion. And then you also have capital expenditure of 1.25 billion cedis and interest payments or debt servicing 1.9 billion, which far exceeds the capital expenditure, which is one of the issues that has been raised, that we're spending so much more in servicing our debts. To the detriment of provision of infrastructure and the rest, which is one issue that the minority raised.
Exactly, because according to them, the government of 2017 will be saddled with the payment of almost 3 billion Ghana cedis in servicing loans already acquired by this particular administration.
How did they come by the almost 3 billion? Because what we have as debt service is
1.9, but that is how the minority there was no correction.
Unless they want to add, probably you could look at loan road arrears of 518 and amortization of 773 million.
So they are saying that before the government will even have the opportunity to roll out his program and activities for the 4 year, will be confronted with the payment of this huge amount to service loans acquired by this government. And in the words of the minority, government, appetite for borrowing has led to this country paying so much money to service loan, money that would have gone into, infrastructure development and the others. But again, one other issue that it raised, remember, if you put this amount of money together, you will come to 10.9, almost 11 billion Ghana cedis. Yes. Now, within the same period, the government is projecting to collect a total revenue of 8.9 billion Ghana cedis.
That leaves a shortfall
of almost 2 billion Ghana cedis. Now, the question was asked how government was going to fund this gap to ensure that programs line up does not suffer. Now, what the government is saying is that they want to finance this through domestic and international borrowing.
So more borrowing.
Absolutely. and this was one of the issues that the minority guys raised on the floor, saying that even as you you've said that you've moved away from borrowing. You are even, saddling the new administration with more money to pay, which for them may not help in moving through or rolling out some of the programs that they intend to, especially those on the minority side.
I'm sure the finance minister was in the House. What did he have to say? Well, he didn't get the chance to speak on the floor.
Exactly.
But what did he have to say?
According to this, is going into critical expenditure. For example, they are more concerned about the payment of salary, compensation, pension to government appointees, to public sector workers. It is something that they cannot avoid. So that's how come you will find out about 35% of the money that government will spend between January and March, 35% is going to the payment of salary, and it's something that they are committed to and they will do it. Also, statutory payment, like this Assembly's Common Fund, Get Fund, these are monies, or these are payments they cannot run away from. So they will make sure that they pay. Goods and services to keep government machinery running. So for him, even as you will look at more money going to the payment of loans acquired by this administration, some of this critical expenditure is something they cannot run away from. More critical is the payment of salary and compensation for public sector work.
All right, time now for business news, and Emmanuel Obajiriafe is here. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Easy.
I'm sure you certainly are going to have something with the transition budget. I don't know if that's what it call. I call it transition budget because it's a budget for the transitional, for the transition quarter period, essentially. Exactly. It takes up that. I'm sure you have something on that.
Yes, I mean, we have the MP for Nandom, Dr. Benjamin Kumbo, further explaining, because many people do not actually understand how this is going to work and whether the next administration is going to disregard this current estimates and come up with a new one entirely or what. But he's explaining that it is going to be linked to the current, the budgets in future.
Well, yeah. What the incoming administration can't do without is something like debt interest payment. You can do it. I mean, you have to pay your interest.
That's it. Because then you've already borrowed, and you have to pay.
And then you also have to pay salaries of public sector workers. You can dodge that. So there are a number of things that you can do. And there you talk about non-road arrears. You can't do anything about it.
And it's amazing that we're still having the highest component in personal, emoluments of workers. It means we're still spending so much to pay public servants. I mean,
you have to grow the economy and make the economy a lot bigger. All right, you take it away.
Thank you. And thanks for joining me on Business. Cooperative credit unions in the country are preparing to meet the new licensing guidelines by the Bank of Ghana, expected to be introduced by the end of this year. The new guidelines are to regulate the establishment and operations of cooperative credit unions to safeguard funds of members as well. Speaking to Joy Business in an interview, Acting Registrar at the Department of Cooperative Credit Union, John Nyakon, appealed for a reduction in the service charge on the credit unions by the Controller and Accountant General's Department.
There are about 504 recognized credit unions in Ghana as at the end of June 2016. The Bank of Ghana, as part of measures to regulate the country's financial sector, has hinted of coming out with draft guidelines to be used to regulate operations of cooperative credit unions. This regulation will, among others, place a limit on the number of members on a specific credit union at a given time. The guidelines, when implemented, will seek to enhance security of depositors and members of the various credit unions. According to the Acting Registrar at the Department of Cooperatives Credit Union, John Nyakon, the guidelines are necessary because they will help manage funds effectively and avoid the challenges that some microfinance institutions have gone through.
They are very prepared because a lot of them can meet the criteria very easily. Yes, they have the minimum membership that they have to operate with, the share capital, and that. It has nothing to do with the share capital. What they are talking about is prudent financial operations so that we do not have the problems of DKM and Co. Yes.
John Nyakon appealed to the Controller and Accountant General's Department to reduce the service charges on credit unions from 3% to 1%.
Government should meet them halfway by also telling the Controller and Accountant General to reduce the service charge. If they can go back to the 1% that they were charging, that will help them a lot, because 1% of the turnover, that's if they are taking loans and savings, they deduct it from source. If it's 10 million a month, they charge 1% of the 10 million. it has been increased to over 3%. So you can imagine if they are taking 10 million, the 3% on the 10 million as service charge, they will definitely pass it on to their members. Because if they are charging 3% on diminishing balancing and the controller and accountant general is charging also 3%, they will pass it on and charge 6%, which will become a burden.
Watching Joy News Prime, in time now to hit the campaign trail. The flag bearer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, is in the Ashanti region courting voters. Nana Akufo-Addo was scheduled to address a mini rally at Kwadaso. Erastus Asare Donko joins me over the telephone for the very latest. Good evening to you, Erastus. Hello, Erastus.
Yeah, Israel.
All right, has the rally started, and what has Nana Akufo-Addo been saying?
Well, it's like if you can hear the noise, I'm even in a vehicle, but you can still hear the crowd, and the horns and all that. Well, you just ended. I cannot describe this as a mini rally because it is a mammoth rally. Thousands gathered here at the Kwadaso School Park, and it was a hectic time for security personnel controlling the crowd, the million crowd here at the school. And indeed, this is better than what we saw at the Akwasi Community Center, and better than any I have seen so far. Crowds that continue to kneel into the Kwadaso School Park are here to listen to Nana Akufo. And today, I must say, Israel, Nana reacted to the Calipo challenge. In fact, the crowd started cheering and chanting Calipo, Calipo, Calipo. And he said something about the Calipo challenge. He said that he has heard some of Ahmed's ministers say that indeed the Calipo is a sugary drink and is not good for their health. He is asking why are they building or constructing a sugar factory when they know that sugar is not good. And so he laughs at it and he says that they will not tolerate such statements. They are going to revamp industries and bring jobs to the teeming youth. So currently, the rally has come to an end, and it's been a close for the day.
All right, thank you very much, Erastus Asare Donko of Love FM. Now, the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, the man who alluded to the fact that Calipo was for children, has presented 50,000 Ghana cedis to the Bechem Man Hene to upgrade the Bechem Park ahead of Bechem United's participation in the African Confederations Cup next year. This, according to him, is in fulfillment of a promise made by President Mahama during his recent campaign tour of the region. The Chief of Staff has been campaigning in the Brunahafo region with some top party officials, including Professor Kwame Ahoy. Correspondent Precious Semevo joins me over the telephone with more on this. Good evening to you, Precious.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, what more has the Chief of Staff been saying, especially having to do with this 50,000 cedis presentation?
Well, that presentation happened on behalf of the President at Bechem, where the Chief Dominic of Bijabo received it. Now, we'll go back a bit, couple of years ago, the President was in the Brunahafo region, where he paid a courtesy tour to Bechem. And that was one of the many actions that the chief made to the president. They had won the Cup and the best playing in Africa. And the blessing that they have, because of their desire to play for Africa in the chain, what it means is that they will have to upgrade that of the stadium or the park at the chain. And then they made an appeal to the president, and the president promised supporting them to upgrade the park. So that was what the Chief of Staff came to deliver to the and an amount of 50,000 Ghana cedis was given to them to help them upgrade the stadium. But that is not all. We are told that the whole exercise will cost something in the region of 8 billion, and it is about $200,000. So it is quite an amount, but this is just a support that was given to them. But beyond that, the chief showed a lot of appreciation to the gesture from the president. And he believes that his people out of this will know how to show appreciation back to the president with the gesture that the president did then. Now, the chief of staff himself has also been speaking, and his speeches, wherever we've been to, today we've been to Brotanko, Bechem, and then New Doma. We are on our way to meet the student wing of our MDC at the Sunyani Polytechnic. Now, the chief of staff has been saying that election is a sharing of ideas, and what it means is that you share your idea and the other parties will also share the ideas. And he has been encouraging and advising our supporters of the NDC that during this period and then on the election day, they should just go cast their ballot and then stay away from all activities that will result in confrontations between themselves and then other political parties. But as you rightly said, the chief of staff is not on this tour alone. He's here with some old faces who they've all joined the campaign trail to ensure that the president is re-elected for another year of term. Now, one of them is Professor Pamela Ahoy, and he has also been very, very vocal, apart from questioning the one dam, one factory, one district, one factory, one district, one dam policy of the New Patriotic Party. He also believes that there is so much disunity in the New Patriotic Party to the extent that if the late Professor Befa Buzia, who hails from the Bonga-Hapo region, were to be alive, he would have ended his political career, or better still, joined the NDC because of the disunity that is happening in the NDC, in the NPP party. Now, another old guard who also showed up today is Kofi Totobi Kwate, and we spoke to him, and he has also been on the campaign trail, making lots of issues out of the promises of the NPP. Now, he particularly has been saying that all of them showing up is an indication that though the NDC also have their own issues, but they have internal mechanisms of resolving it. That is why old faces, old guys like himself, and then.
All right, thank you very much, Precious Semavo. The NDC is not taking its stronghold for granted. That's according to national executives of the party. It's become apparent that the party is paying close attention to some inroads being made by the opposition MPP in parts of the Brahafo and the northern part of the Volta region. This has seen many of the top executives of the NDC increasing their campaign visits and activity in those areas. Listening to what General Secretary of the party, Johnson Isidun Ketia, had to say when he addressed supporters at Nkwanta North in the Volta region.
Mental said northern part of Volta region and Mayor campaign. The Ademia Banner said that's now we say also be ordinary Epia kakra. Yes, so a few way, ya pass a palm also no free Ghana. Baby, how be a Tatia Cohonia Pamno? But a few way campaign, my Yama said, and Quanta North, and Quanta South, KJB, and northern side of Volta region. Yanamun a bear campaign, I feel. Eti yakoja president Pairia, Yabapeda, Abetua campaign also. Now I feel ya percent constituency bia I want to Abiano and double the vote. Now ya pam also no free hakra.
Time for entertainment. Welcome, Miss G.
Hello, Israel. How are you doing?
Well.
Okay, so I have good news for you because finally the family of the late Dasibre Jamna have come to a compromise. Yes, we can say that because the mother side had a meeting yesterday at Anumabu and they finally decided that they will lay his mortal remains to rest on the 26th of November 2016.
Right.
On the 25th, they will have a wakekeeping, and on 26th is the funeral, and then Thanksgiving services on the 27th. So finally.
Well, yeah, certainly some welcome news. I mean,
yes,
news
very, very
welcome.
Great news. But still, the father side, those from Koforidua, where he hails from and where he grew up, are not certain that they are attending this funeral. As a matter of fact, they say they haven't been informed officially of these dates. So we're waiting to see what would happen come the 26th or 25th of November.
Well, since they have sounded the, alarm that they've not been informed, officially informed, I'm sure a delegation from the maternal family will go there and do what's expected.
Well, what they told me, that's the maternal family told me, that they had actually sent someone, but the paternal family says that they have a funeral this weekend. The person might tell them when they have that gathering this weekend. So hopefully they might get to hear it officially this weekend. So that's good news. But let's go to another very complicated story. I don't know how I'm going to tell the story, but there's been a lot of drama on social media today. In fact, it started from dawn. From 1 a.m. I slept at 1 a.m. because I was monitoring the story. Hey, really? I love gossip, I tell you. I was monitoring the story at about 1 a.m. I was screenshotting everything I could screenshot because I was very much aware that by evening, the person posting would delete them, and I wasn't wrong. The messages are all gone. I thank God that I screenshot as much as I could. Okay, so Bibi Bright is a movie star. She produced her own movie and now she's acting. She recently went on the red carpet almost naked. Yes, everybody knows that. But Nana Akua-Addo.
Hold on. She went on the red carpet almost naked?
Yes, she wore a very transparent lace.
Can we see?
Yes, can we see the pictures rolling on the screens of Bibi Bright? We ran the story here about Bibi Bright, but we're starting from this point. This is how the story started. That's Yemi Baba, who came earlier. Yemi Baba is a blogger.
All right.
Now, according to Yemi Baba, this lady who is Nana Akua-Addo is using a fake account on Instagram with the name Belly Blaze, and she keeps attacking his personality together with some other actresses on social media. Now, yesterday he was reported to the police. The police invited him over and said a certain person by name Belly Blaze had actually reported that he harassed her on social media, only for the person to show up at the police station, and it was Nana Akua-Addo, who we know as an actress or a red carpet personality. And it's like, oh, so you are Belly Blaze as well, who has been harassing all of us on social media. Then she said, oh, my phone got missing and I got another phone and then I started using an account. The story wasn't that straight.
It didn't add up.
It didn't add up. So the police, handled the issue well and, asked Nana Akua to go.
But hold on. Okay, before you carry on with the story, the police arrested somebody or questioned somebody?
No, they invited him over.
Because he was harassing somebody on social media? Because Nana Akua had reported as Belly Blaze that a certain person by name Yemi Baba was harassing her on social media. I didn't know that our police had become that advanced.
Oh, they have become. You just need to work there. Especially when they know that this is Israelite.
Somebody harassing somebody on social media?
Yes. Then the police get to invite the other party.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So they invited him. Now it continues. Now Nana Akua, allegedly after leaving the police station, goes into a pharmacy saying she wants to buy drugs. Then tells the pharmacist that she misplaced her phone or she's run out of credit. The story is not too clear, and so she should lend her phone. So the pharmacist gives her phone to Nana Akua. Nana Akua, per the story, goes into the pharmacist's Instagram account and posts something on Bibi Bright's account or beneath Bibi Bright's picture. And this is a story, according to Bibi Bright, who I spoke to earlier in the day, that she had shared with only Nana Akua-Addo. Here's the story. Nana Akua-Addo was told by Bibi Bright that some years ago, all these people have been indicted. This is Princess Shagels, but before we come to Princess, some years ago, she fell in love with a young man. For 4 years they dated, only for her to realize that that was her cousin. She got pregnant for this young man, who was her cousin, because they had dated for 4 years. They didn't know that they were related. And I think the trauma was too much for her, so she miscarried. But Nana Akua used this lady's account and posted this.
To post it?
Yes, and said that she had aborted a child she had for her cousin. According to Bibi, nobody apart from Nana Akua in this industry knew this. Nana Akua, in a bid to represent someone, used I instead of she. So it gave her out again. per the story. Now, Bibi Bright gets really offended and takes Nana Akua to the cleaners on Instagram. Post stories of Nana Akua having talked up Princess Shingles, who we saw earlier, having talked about Zuzanil, who she claims should be in competition with because Zuzanil has been the red carpet queen for some time. But Nana Akua is trying as much as possible to take that title.
Yeah.
Talks about our own Sally, who also slays the red carpet. Talks about a lot of people in the industry have been indicted, all being talked about Nana Akua, only by Nana Akua. And amazingly, Israel, the story is almost turning to be true because all of these people whose names have been mentioned either came to like the story or come to post beneath the story.
To give credibility essentially to the story.
Bibi Bright did her best tagging everybody whose name she mentioned. So she mentioned Princess Shingles. Princess came to like it. I spoke to Princess who said, Nana Akua, I have seen her just once in my lifetime, but she took my BBM code and she said BBM me and told me how she liked my body. She wanted to be like me. So for me to now hear that she's been saying ugly things about me is strange, but leave the two of them to have their fight on social media.
Okay, hold on. So you've told us a pretty long, complicated story. Where can we get it all? Because this sounds like
now it's all over the internet. It's on myjoyonline.com. You can visit myjoyonline.com.
Okay.
The story is there. But if you want to go to Bibi Bright's Instagram account, sorry, she's deleted everything. You can only see me. I've got all the screenshots.
What do we call this one? Social media novella.
I tell you, maybe that's what we should call it. It's been fun all through the day, like from 1 a.m. when I started monitoring, back and forth. But it's all gone. It's all gone.
So stuff happening on social media.
The only interesting thing is that the one who has been accused has been mute. Nana Akua is not saying anything about the issue. She's not picking anybody's call. She's not posting anything either on social media. But it's alleged that she has 15 Instagram accounts. So we don't know.
Wow.
Exactly. We don't know which she's using. And also it's been alleged that she won the City People's Award. Her friend Bibi Bright said she gave her the money to go pay someone in Nigeria so she could buy that award. She said it on record.
Of the entire team, I say good night.
This is Joy News Prime.